So just recently I decided I was going to try and make some video of these butterflies that bout with one another. The males come in with pheromones and they kind of look like they're fighting, but they're just kind of trading off and sparring between each other. And I was able to get some pretty good footage on it. I was practicing pulling focus as well as getting it framed decently because these things are really difficult. But what really surprised me is I heard a little noise behind me around the corner of the house. So I turned my camera over there and I forgot to pull focus. That's the very thing I was practicing. But then it became apparent to me why this bird was so afraid and he was making all these alarming sounds. There's this Cooper's hawk, and you can see right up there in the left-hand corner, he's obviously got himself one of their young ones. And that was causing such a ruckus, and it just blew me away that I was able to capture it, at least in the corner of the frame. A really difficult shot at it with anything at any time, but I think it really kind of shows that you never can be sure what's going to happen next around here in Ramona. The wildlife around here is just awesome. So we thought this was the end of that story. But come to find out, 2 days later, when I went out to our tool shed, I found this young quail stuck inside the shed. Apparently, I had left the door open when the hawk caused all the ruckus and the little guy ducked inside the shed. So later on that day, Robin closed it and latched the door, and we kind of figured out that he'd been in there for 2 days. So the first thing I did was I left him in there. I put a little food and water in there to make sure he was healthy. While I figured out what I was going to do with him, I put a trail cam in there with him as well, so I could document his movements and just, if he was hiding or something, I was going to make sure he was okay. And as you can see in these videos that are coming up, he is fine, and he has a thing about wanting to be by that window. I thought that was interesting. So my next questions were, what do I do with this little bird? I was thinking I didn't want to release him, without his family, because he's too young for that. And my big question is, would they even come back? I mean, this hawk just took one of their own, and so maybe they would be too afraid to come back. We typically have lots of coveys coming through, and recently they had stopped, and maybe it was because of all these predators that have been around. So it was a bit of a conundrum. And the days were becoming warmer and warmer. And so I was thinking, it's going to be getting hot. We can't let him stay in the shed. It's not a good idea. It's not a good place to stay. So, it's not like I have several days where we can wait around to see if the family comes around. I was just really thinking I was going to have to capture him. I thought I was going to have to capture this bird. I went online to check my options, and there were some rescue options in town if I just captured him, if he becomes orphaned. So that was one option. I would just have to trap it and maybe cover it up to keep it calm. And I do have a trap that I think would have taken care of that. So that to me became my worst case scenario. And as you can see, the little guy is in good health. He was eating and drinking just fine. What I didn't know is that this little guy was very vocal. He was hanging out by the window because it appeared as a way out for him, I guess. And it was also his connection to call out to his family. And he did not hold back. So at my last check-in, I went in there to see him, and I saw his family. I saw the dominant male, and he just kind of looked at me like, you know what to do. And it's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. So and he looked at me, I looked at him. I knew what I needed to do, and he kind of ran off behind the shed. So I propped the door open and waited. And what the problem was, the door kept wanting to swing closed, and it was scaring the little guy inside. You can see he's getting all excited. He just gets really nervous. He's trying to get out through the window. He thinks that's the way out, even though the door is open. He can't figure it out. He's just freaking out. So then I reset the door and I wedged it open with the bucket to make sure it wouldn't blow closed. And I just, I'm standing back far enough away where I'm not bothering anybody. And finally, he gets the nerve to jump down to the floor, and they're calling him. When they started calling him and all this, I knew it was all going to be okay. And then finally, he runs off, and he reunites with his mama. And I just thought, oh man, that was so cool. I was just so elated at that point. I was so happy at that point. And the rest of his family comes along, and they take off. And they have not been back since. Well, they were back once since then, and it's been about a week. And but I haven't seen them since, except for that one time. Anyway, all's well that ends well on that one.